Hello, how are you guys? Today I am going to teach you how to use millimeter rulers that we will also classify them by family.
But before starting, I want to explain something important. These rulers have millimetric measurements and allow us to work on miniature patterns using different scales, whether it be 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, or 1/5.
That is, when the number of the fraction is larger, for example, a quarter or a fifth, the resulting measurement will be smaller. If we draw a horizontal line with this measurement, which in this case would be 1/4 of 25 centimeters.
And if we then draw a horizontal line with the same ruler, but with a different measurement, which in this case would be 1/2, in the same way at 25 centimeters, we realize that the larger number is smaller than the smaller one.
I am going to redraw the line at 25 centimeters, but with the fifth, we realize that the size is smaller, and so we redraw the same line we will draw.
With this third, it's the same, 25 centimeters. But if we notice, while the smaller
the line is bigger, okay? The larger the number, the smaller the line. That means if we start with a quarter, we end with a quarter. If we start with a fifth, we end with a fifth, and if we start with a half, we end with a half, and likewise with the third. Why am I explaining this to you? Because you cannot change the rule. If you start with any measure, you cannot change it, as they are different measures even if they have millimetric measurements. For that reason, we cannot change any of these measurements, because if you change it, you can affect your pattern. For example, the one we have here is made in a half. The following one is made in a third. The Nelesataniship was made in a quarter, and the last one is made in a fifth. If we notice, the smaller the number, the larger the increased measurements we have, okay? The larger the number, the smaller or more reduced the measurement of our little ruler, okay? With this ruler, we can practice tracing the pattern without needing to use real measurements or full size. Also, even though we work in miniature, we continue applying the division of body measurements, like a quarter of the bust, a quarter of the waist, a quarter of the hips, among others. Only now, those fractions are drawn to scale using the millimeter ruler. Once we are clear on how to use this ruler with any of the millimeter measurements, we can start the classes, guys. This is the longest intro I have done so far. Having said that, let's begin. Now we are going to learn about these little rulers we have here, which we know as a complete set or set of millimeter rules. In the world of fashion, pattern making, cutting, and sewing, there are three families of rules. In this case, we are going to classify each one of them and learn which family each belongs to. In the first family, we have the L rule. As such, the L ruler is a straight ruler or a 90-degree square. As such, the L here, we can also see the 90-degree square. But in itself, the L family comes in these forms, either a straight ruler or a 90-degree square. This straight ruler, or with a set square that belongs to the L family, we can work with straight lines, horizontal lines, parallel lines, okay? And diagonal lines that allow us to work on pant-based patterns, the base for working on the back pattern as well as the front, no matter what template it is. As such, these rulers help us at the beginning to make our drafts, whether it's a basic pant pattern
flossy base, whether it has a dart or not. Similarly, the dress base or its modifications, since this ruler starts from the beginning with horizontal, vertical, diagonal, parallel lines, among others. And from the start, we begin with a rectangle to create pants, blouses, dresses, or also a basic skirt pattern. Starting this topic on the use of rulers, I remind you that these patterns are the most important in the world of pattern making. We have what is the basic skirt, basic pants, basic blouse, and basic dress. As such, everything comes in order and step by step we will be learning how to use.
Viene en orden y paso a paso vamos a ir aprendiendo cómo utilizar
las reglas.
At the beginning, we had explained that this ruler helps us work with rectangles, lines, both horizontal, vertical, diagonal, whether for a shoulder width, a back width, a waist, a straight side seam. Okay? A desired length, among others. Now we are going to learn how to use the French curve family, the French curve rulers. As such, in the French curve family, we can easily identify it.
In this case, this type of rule consists of rules with pronounced curves of short radius or rules with anatomical curves. Okay?
We will always identify it by having these curves. Okay? Like this, whether it's a J rule, head rule, armhole rule, or boot, or more. In real size rules, we can have more varieties. In this case, I will explain each of the functions of this type of rule.
So, is start with this ruler, specifically the head ruler. This ruler helps us when we are working on a pattern, whether back or front. This ruler is indispensable in this case for the back neckline. We can place the ruler this way, okay, over the back neckline.
And fapenas we are going to work on the front neckline, we will use it this way. Ne? We place the ruler like this, positioning a good angle on the neckline. Okay? Now, I will explain how to place the ruler when we are working on the pattern on paper. When we use this ruler, the correct placement would be like this. If you are going to buy this type of ruler, always ask for a transparent acrylic one, as this way we can see the internal points.
Okay, this is how we are going to place our ruler at this millimetric measurement.
In this way, respecting the neckline drop point and respecting the direct neckline. Now, if we are going to place it on the front, try to position the ruler slightly tilted if you are going to attach a collar. If you are going to have a simple base pattern, you can work it as you like, but if in such a case you want this pattern to fit for
Attach a collar, whether it's a shirt collar, or a mandarin collar, or any type of collar, flat fabric, you will place it there. Okay? We are not talking about collars for t-shirts. We are only talking about American collars, mandarin collars, among others. Okay? Place the ruler slightly tilted like this. Yes? Okay? And that way we can see how we are working. This way, we can correctly visualize the placement of the ruler, back neckline and front neckline. Now, aside from the neckline, it also helps us draw the front armhole on the patterns, whether in a fifth or a fourth. If you are going to work in a half or a third, this rule will not work for you, as you can only use it in a quarter or a fifth. Okay? If you are going to work on the armhole, you must work on it this way, respecting the HB point, which would be the shoulder, the chest width line, and the quarter part of the bust. For example, Echuswara has working in on a basic blouse pattern, you must respect 3 points to draw the armhole. In this case, Nunda, we have the shoulder width point, which we can see here. We call this point HB for shoulder. Then we will see another point which we have here. This would be the side, as such it is worked from the fourth part of the bust circumference. In this case, we have it here. And the next point would be the chest width line. If you want to work on it theoretically, you can also measure this line, which is the chest line, okay? Broken down into 2 plus 1 and take half of it. Or in this case, if you are working with this rule, just respect HB, chest width line, and bust point, okay? Or side point. The methodologies change according to the system you are learning. So on another occasion, I will have a full class to explain how to make the patterns step by step from scratch, since this tutorial is about the placement of rules. In this case, we are going to place the ruler like this. See how when placing the ruler over the points, it will precisely fit the front armhole. Look, just by respecting the points, we already have a perfect armhole. Okay, here we are working with a fifth. Okay, there we are going to draw our armhole. Okay, and there we have the front armhole. And this way we can trace our front as such. It also helps you to trace the armhole of the dress. Remember to respect the points if we want to perfect our armhole. If you don't respect the points, the armhole won't fit well. So guys, if you're enjoying this video, give it a like and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this class. We continue with the next one. For the back patterns, whether it's a blouse or dress made in fourths or fifths, we have a special ruler, which in this case is the J ruler. This rule not only helps us draw the back armhole, it also helps us draw the crochet, whether front or back crochet. Simple rule placement. Just like the front, here we continue respecting the same point. HB, which in this case is no longer chest, is back width line and the bust line, okay, where the side is located. Ready? So guys, the location is the same as our front, whether for a dress or a blouse, the location is the same. It even helps with shirts or t-shirts, whether polo or regular. And in the pants, if you are working with this ruler, we are the first to have this ruler everywhere. In Ecuador, we are the first. I don't know if other countries have it yet, but we created this ruler based on a large J ruler. Okay? The only thing we did is digitize it, vectorize it, and make it in millimetric sizes. Okay? So in this case, if we are working with this rule, the only thing we are going to do is use the inner part of the rule and trace the front rise. If we are going to work on the back part, we will work with the outer part. Okay? The internal part of this ruler for the front and the external part for the back, which would be the exact placement of the ruler. And we don't have complications when making our lines. Okay? These rulers help you perfect the pattern making technique, whether it's any pattern, blouse, skirt, dress, jacket, any. Okay? So, estaría inquasi sa'yo that this way we can trace the back and front to rise. At the same time, it helps us with the back armhole. In practice, it would be like this. Just like your front pattern, here you must respect the same points, which in this case are HB, the back width, and side line where the quarter of the bust is located, respecting the points in this way. Okay? If you want to take a screenshot, you can do it or repeat it over and over so you can learn the placement of the ruler. Okay? There. We must respect the points well, guys. There precisely. And there we have it. Okay? Attention, guys. If you are working on your patterns, remember, the shoulder width should never be too far in. It should always be flush or a few millimeters out. So, with this ruler, we can draw a perfect armhole. Okay? Whether it's a blouse, dress, shirts, or any garment, whether it's a jacket on the back. Okay? So, on the pants, it would be like this. If you are working on the front of pants, in this case, I recommend if you are using this ruler in small or large, use this part here, although many people use this inner part, but I recommend the outer part if you are using the large ruler, okay? But here in miniature, do use the internal for the front and the external for the back. So, how are we going to place this ruler here on our pattern? What do? Here we have point I. I will call it by my methodology. In this case, it would be point I. Ready? And here we have point G1, which originates point G, which would be our front crotch. What do we do here, guys? Look, we are going to respect point G1, which would be the front crotch, and we are going to respect point I. What do? We join in this super simple way, okay? Respecting both points, this way we draw a front crotch, which in this case we can see here.
Okay, the location
Is the same as before, okay? There. The only thing we do is respect the points, and in this way we draw the line. Perfect. Now, in the back, it's the same way. The only thing we are going to do is respect, in this case, the point at the top of the crotch, the middle one, where we make an adjustment in the back crotch, which in this case, if we turn this pattern around, we see it reflected here like this, there, and there, okay? In practice, it would be like this. To always make a back pattern, we always need a front one. A base front is important because from this, the back is created. In this case, when you are going to draw the back dart,
The adjustment is super simple.
3 enter, 3 go up. There are adjustments where we go up 4, but in this case, we can go up 3 as a standard average. Adjustment 2.5 will depend on how much you have in the hips, which in this case, if you have 96, use 2. If you have 100 to 104, 2.5. If you have up to 106, 2.5 as well. If you have more than that, use 3, okay? In this case, the back rise would be 5 centimeters, which would be the front rise multiplied by 2. And up here, it would be 3 centimeters of adjustment, intake, and rise. In this case, here, 2.5. The only thing we do here is respect those points I just marked, like this. If I respect the points, the fit will be perfect, although there is a fit with adjustment, which is very different from this one, and I would explain that in a pattern making class. But if we are working on the basics, the ideal is to do it this way, respecting point 3, adjustment, and crotch. And that way we have a perfect crotch for our pattern. Okay? If we compare the crotch, look here how it fits perfectly. Look, there we are. Ready? So guys, that rule is essential for pattern making. Okay? For your drawings. Remember to use it. In this case, we have the complete set of rules. We already have all the rules for sale. So, if you can't buy it, we also have the PDF for free for you to download. Okay? And print it, either on cardboard or paper. Perfect. So, let's continue with the next one. Before continuing, remember that this form, the J rule, also helps us work on the neckline of a t-shirt, shirt, or top as it is known in your country, in your city.
Let's go with the armhole rule. The armhole rule is the same as the head rule.
The only difference is that this one has a greater range that helps us work with larger sizes, whether armholes, double, extra large, or when we pattern in measurements greater than 1/5 or 1/4. If we are working with a third or a half, then the ideal for an armhole, a neckline, the ideal is to work with this rule, guys. And if in that case you are working with a half, you should use this rule in 2 steps. But how is it in 2 steps? I'll explain how to work in 2 steps. To work on a draft, whether it's an armhole, any adjustment, strap, that adjustment in 2 steps, or adjustment of any other little thing, when we talk about 2 steps, it's in 2 stages. For example, if here we are going to draw an armhole in 2 steps, I must measure the width line of the chest vertically and take half of it. Example, its half is found around here. What do we do? Look, if you are going to work with this rule, since this pattern is big and the average is used in fashion school, in clothing, what do we do here? So, what do we do? Look, we respect the HB and the center. Okay? Then once we have drawn the first time, we move on to the second time. We lower our ruler, and the next thing we do is connect the middle with the next part, just as we did before with the front armhole, okay, of the pattern made in fourth and fifth. So guys, this way, it's super simple to use the French curve rulers for our drawing. If you are enjoying this video, let me know in the comments what you think about the French curve family. Now, once we know how to use these rules in basic patterns, let's move on to the Taylor's curve rule, Taylor's curve family.
Now we are going to learn how to use the Taylor's curve family rules. As such, the Taylor's curve rules are those with semi-pronounced curves because these rules help us join sides between legs and more. First, I am going to explain how to use the hip curve ruler.
When we are going to use this ruler on a blouse or dress, we must remember the ruler's placement. For example, whenever we use this ruler, we must clearly recognize the curve. The sastrasa esta parta sa used when we are making something semi-curved, like a skirt. If we want more curve, like for example a blouse, we will use the curve towards the lower part of our garment, and we will trace the side like this there.
If it comes to it, we are working on pants and we are not going to use the pronounced curve but the semi-curve, which will be there. We join both the anatomical line and the waistline like this. Okay, this way we will work on our pattern. Ready? Now, what happens if we are working on a skirt? When we are working on a skirt, whether front or back, the application of the rule is the same. It would be like this there. We trace the side, and just as we do on our pants. Now, if we are going to do it on a dress, we must remember that to work on a dress, we need a reference point. In this case, the reference is the hip height, just like when we were working from the waist to our desired length.
In this case, we must place the most prominent part, that is the most curved part of the ruler, on the hip line, and the straightest part we will place on the waistline.
This way we can use the hip curve ruler. If you stayed until here in this video, tell me what you think of this ruler. It is important for drawing sides, whether it's pants, a blouse, a skirt, or a dress. Now we are going to learn how to use the pants ruler. As such, the pants ruler, as its name suggests, helps us make pants. It also helps us draw sides, but more than anything, this ruler is especially made for pants to join in seams, okay? And it also helps us join sides in this way. They're respecting the sides in this manner. Ready?
So, where you are going to use this ruler, it should be in this position, like this.
Take a screenshot so you can have that guide, that help, okay? So if we are going to work from the knee to the lower part, here it would be the straight part, which we can also do with any other straight ruler we have seen before.
Now we have another ruler that we know as the pants ruler.
This ruler also helps us join the inseam here, but it is not so recommended because if we are working on casual pants, denim pants, or any other pants that are not so tight, we do not need a curve that is too pronounced, okay?
Okay, so ideally, we should work with this type of ruler, and this one here helps us more when there are sharper curves or more fitted garments. So, guys, comment on what you think about this video. If you liked it, share it, comment on it, and that way you will help me grow and help others see this video. And remember that we have the PDF already available for you to download. In case you don't live in Ecuador, you don't have access to buy this ruler from me because I sell them. This is my brand, the Pattern Making GW. I will look for places where they can be sold so you can get them anywhere in Ecuador. And also, well, we ship to any part of Ecuador, and comment if you want to win one of these rulers. People who want to win one of these rulers can comment on the video I just uploaded on Facebook, and we'll see if we raffle one of these rulers. 5 rulers for 5 winners. And if you don't live in Ecuador, don't worry, because you also have a chance to win, as we will have a rule book. The rule manual is being released in these days, as this video will be part of one of the PDF classes we are preparing. And remember not to use the rule with any measure. Remember, if you start with 5th, you end with 5th. If you start with 4th, you end with 4th. If you start with a third, or if it's half with half. Remember that this method is what they use in fashion schools, right? Fashion, they also know how to use the third, but the one they use the most is this one here. Mannequins made to this measurement, okay? Or there are also people who use the third, but we who are in practice in pattern making always use what is the 4th, and in pattern making, cutting, and sewing academies, we use what is the 4th or the 5th. Why? Why do we use this ruler? Because commonly in pattern making courses, cutting and sewing, we use A4 size notebooks, okay? And if you know that the A4 size notebooks are not that big, A4 is almost there, okay? So if you use a third or a half, it won't fit, okay? So the ideal for working on A4 sheets is a 5th and a quarter, okay? A5 and a twice, a porte. If you work with this, it will only fit on sheets or letter-sized paper, okay? Well, guys, I hope you like this video. Soon I will be updating more videos on this, because I am going to launch my manual. I hope people here are willing to support my manual, guys. I am going to release the PDF for free for those who want it. They can download it in my community. But I was going to sell it, but guys, I'm going to leave a donation code. If anyone wants to donate 50 cents, 25 cents, $1, they can, okay? Since I was going to sell it for $1.29, but I decided to release it because there are people who sometimes don't have it. So I hope that with this video, more people join and learn pattern making, cutting, and sewing, as I will be available for online classes. Okay, so guys, remember, I'm leaving the PDF for you to download, and if anyone wants to support with a donation or subscribe to this channel, you can do it, okay? That way I will be able to sustain these projects, since I am leaving part of my work to dedicate myself to creating content for you. Well, guys, see you. Blessings to all of Latin America and Spain who watch me, and the United States too. Okay, Peru, Venezuela. Here, Latin America, Bolivia, Mexico, where many people from Mexico and Colombia watch me. Blessings, guys, and greetings to Ecuador. Over and out.